Anybody in here ever been suffering to the point that you feel like it's never gonna get better and you've been miserable and sad? Hey, we have something in common. We have that shared experience. Those are the things that can bring us together. These ideologies, they're very clear-cut and philosophical and cold. They're human in the sense that they're made by humans, but they're not designed to serve humans, really. They separate us, they take us apart. But these things that we have in common, anybody here uncertain about your future in the coming years? Anybody not sure what's going to happen with your family? Anybody kind of concerned about where you're going to be, if you're going to be living in the same place 6 months from now, a year from now? If any of you guys have those concerns, I can nod with you and go, hey, I have that in common with you. We've been there. I've been there before. You've heard me say before that life is suffering, and that we don't get to choose not to suffer. We can choose what we're going to suffer for. And in that choice of what we're going to suffer for, we can find joy and freedom. That's where we exercise our dreams. That's where we pursue our passions. Life is suffering, that's true, but life is also so much more than just that, man. If you let it be. I do hear this sort of stuff from students constantly. I bet if you pay attention, you're going to notice you'll hear it from teachers and from students and even just people out in general society frequently. I bet you'll hear this from people just frequently in conversations. For example, last year we did a unit on ghosts. I don't think we're going to do it this year, but we were looking at this question about why it is that people believe in ghosts. And I had students who would say things like, well, I mean, I'm more scientific, so as a scientist, I believe, in other words, it's a pre-made system. Now, has that student really thought a whole heck of a lot about metaphysics? Do you even know what metaphysics are? Very, very doubtful, very doubtful. So how is it that the person can step forward and say very convincingly, and very, very confidently, as a scientist, I believe. As a Catholic, I believe. As an atheist, I believe. Because they have an ideology. They don't really have a thought. They have an ideology. An ideology is exactly what it sounds like. Ology, the study of, it's an idea. It's a pre-made system. And that's one of the values, by the way, of political ideologies, of philosophical ideologies, of religious ideologies. I don't have to stop and, if you were to ask me, I don't know, can God make a rock? Is God all powerful? Yes. You're a Catholic? Yes. So if you believe in God, then tell me, is God all powerful? Can he do anything? Yes. Okay, can he make a rock that's so big that he can't lift it? Because if he can make the rock, then he's all powerful because he can't lift the rock. But if he can't make the rock, then that means he's all powerful because he can't make that rock. So which is it? Well, if you're a Catholic, you have an answer for that. You don't really have to think too much about it. There is an answer for it. It would violate his nature. So the question itself is a contradiction. It's an absurd question. But if you're a person who doesn't have an ideology, you have to stop and think about it. Well, I don't know, let's see. What would the physics of that look like? What would that? And this could take you a whole lifetime. If I were to ask you, for example, I don't remember if it was this class. One of my classes last week, I asked the question if murder was wrong. Is murder immoral? And people were saying yes. Why? Because it's murder. Okay, that's called a tautology. It's circular reasoning. Was it this class that I asked this in? No, okay. So I was asking them, so what makes murder wrong? Well, you're taking another person's life. You just described the act, but you didn't tell me what's wrong with it. Yeah, but they don't want to die. Okay, and if I murdered somebody, I wouldn't want to go to prison. Does that therefore mean I shouldn't go to prison? What in itself is wrong with murder? And if you don't have an ideology, at 16 years old, this could send you off for the next 15, 20 years trying to figure out what is it that's wrong about murder. Now, most people, of course, will never get to that point. They'll just say, who cares? I just think it is. And you know what? It is what it is. Then we'll go, oh yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. And we say these mindless things because that's easier than actually working out the answer to the question. But there's a really important answer to that question. If you're religious, you believe that humans are made in God's image. And so therefore, killing a human being is tantamount to killing the image of God. That's blasphemous. You have an ideology now. You have a pre-made answer. And the ideology now, if you understand that, then that expands out to, so therefore if it's wrong for me to murder because it's taking somebody who's in the image of God, then what is it to not be charitable towards human beings? What is it to slander human beings? What is it to insult, to make fun of, to attack? It's to do all of those things to a vessel that's the image of God, and so therefore it's blasphemous and wrong. If you don't have an ideology, if you're just, I don't know, I guess I'll figure everything out as I go, every single one of those questions becomes damn near impossible to answer and can take you a lifetime to figure out. And again, you could just shrug your shoulders and go, I just think it is. Okay, but this is one of the problems with meaning and purpose. And people who behave like this simply have no direction in life. And without having a direction, well, surprise, surprise, people then end up saying, well, I know, I just feel meaningless and hopeless. And you're also, by the way, a person who can't be trusted, because who knows from minute to minute how you're going to behave, how you're going to respond. In other words, if I were to ask you, is it wrong to steal something? And you have an ideology. Again, you're Catholic, so you look back to the 10 Commandments and you say, you shall not steal. Yes, it is wrong to steal something. Notice that there's no asterisk after that. It doesn't say, you shall not steal unless you're really hungry and your neighbor has like 10 loaves of bread and they have more than they can use, so therefore it's okay to steal. There's no asterisk after that. It says, you shall not steal. So there is no reasoning out after that. Now, if you're a person who comes along and says, okay, yeah, but I'm Catholic, but I don't believe that part. Well, I don't know if you really believe the part about not murdering either. I don't know if you believe the part about not bearing false witness, not being a liar either. I don't know what you believe then. Because if I don't know what you believe, it's very difficult for me to trust you. No, but I wouldn't steal from you. If you can justify stealing in any circumstance, you can justify stealing in nearly every single circumstance. And it becomes difficult to trust that person because, why would you steal from that person? Well, they have lots. Well, I have to be really careful around you then if I have more than you, because you'll use the same reasoning with me. In fact, even if I have less than you, you may even have a good explanation for why it's okay to steal from me in that one specific circumstance. You never can tell. So ideologies are useful. They help us to interpret the world. They help us to be able to trust each other. The problem with an ideology, though, is that, they become so hard and fast that they do separate us. As I was saying earlier, like political ideologies, I see that right now. There are teachers here on campus who will not talk to other teachers because they're on different political sides. Literally. They will not say hi to each other. They will not talk to each other. Well, actually, they'll say hi to each other in the hallway in front of students, but then because they're cowards, so they'll pretend to be one thing in front of students, but behind the doors, behind the scenes, they'll ignore each other in the copy room. They'll trash talk each other. Is it because they have differences in what they want for the country? Or they have differences in what they want for their families? They have differences in what they want for each other? No, they just pick different colors, red or blue, or Harris or Trump, and we'll pretend like that's enough to make us hate another person, not talk to them. And so any of these kinds of ideologies, they do separate us. It's us against you. It's us against the world. Even if we have a whole bunch of stuff in common. So when you look at them, what is it that brings us together? I don't know. You don't have to raise your hands, but I wonder if any of you in here have a dream of being financially secure in your future. I wonder if any of you guys have dreams of having families. Or if you have dreams of fill in the blank. I wonder if anybody in here has ever been skydiving before. Am I the only one? Anybody here ever seen the pyramids in Egypt? So we don't share experiences. Anybody in here ever been suffering to the point that you feel like it's never gonna get better and you've been miserable and sad? Hey, we have something in common. We have that shared experience. Those are the things that can bring us together. These ideologies are very clear-cut and philosophical and cold. They're human in the sense that they're made by humans, but they're not designed to serve humans, really. They separate us, they take us apart. But these things that we have in common, anybody here uncertain about your future in the coming years? Anybody not sure what's going to happen with your family? Anybody kind of concerned about where you're going to be, if you're going to be living in the same place 6 months from now, a year from now? If any of you guys have those concerns, I can nod with you and go, hey, I have that in common with you. We've been there. I've been there before. I know exactly where I wonder if anybody here has ever been homeless. I've been homeless before. I wonder if anybody else has ever been homeless before. I can sit there and go, hey, I know that anguish, that suffering, even that terror to a degree. So these ideologies, they separate us, and they're useful because they help us to perceive the world without having to process every little thing about it. The danger, of course, is that they tear us apart. But man, that suffering thing, or the anguish and the dreams, the positive stuff too, it's not just the negative, man. Like, you heard me say before that life is suffering and that we don't get to choose not to suffer, but we can choose what we're going to suffer for. And in that choice of what we're going to suffer for, we can find joy and freedom. That's where we exercise our dreams. That's where we pursue our passions. Life is suffering, that's true, but life is also so much more than just that, man. If you let it be. Now, there are people who define themselves by their ideologies, and they try really, really hard to find problems with people. They try really, really hard to pick apart. I don't know if any of you guys ever have an argument with somebody, and maybe you have that one, just say maybe you have that one friend, but maybe you are that one friend who, when the person says something, you're not really listening, you're trying to find something to prove them wrong about. Or like one word off, and then they'll blast you over that one word. And if they can't find the word, they'll blast you on how you said it. If it's not about how you said it, it's the timing in which you said it. In other words, they'll try really hard not to deal with the thing that you're actually saying. They'll try to deal with something else. And people say, whoa, that language, the F word. I mean, please watch your language. No, we're talking about something really important here. Fuck my language, talk about what we're talking about. Hey, if you use that word again, this meeting is over. That's a real conversation I've had. And of course, if I ask, okay, I apologize for my language. Real quick, can I see your playlists? Can I see what music you listen to? Can I hear what words appear on your playlist? Like I said, if any of you are offended by my language, I apologize in advance. If you are, let me know. But I do want to see your playlists when you come to me. I had a student last year, by the way, who said he didn't have a problem with the language, but he said, but you can check my playlists. This dude's like a devout Christian. He was in my third period class last year. All of his playlists were all like worship music and hymns and things. And I'm like, okay, you're the exception. But for the other 99.9% of us, focusing on the important things. What are the important things? Dreams, anguish, the things that bring us together. The ideologies are there to help us understand the world, not to divide us, man. But they do end up doing that. So, careful with your ideologies. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Monday.